My mother-in-law wants to adopt my baby so that there would be fewer problems and procedures the day I die. Now she wants to take me to court after I denied her to see my child. I met my husband in the last year of my university. We are on the same subject and we eventually got to know each other because we both love music. He has everything that I am looking for in a man, so when he courted me, I immediately said yes. However, there's something I did not expect. After a year of being together, he proposed. His mother apparently did not like it because we were only a year in the relationship and felt like we were taking it too fast. My husband insisted that I was the love of his life and there was no one he would like to spend the rest of his life with other than me. She told him he doesn't know me well yet. The lockdown happened and she was not able to bother us, thankfully. We found out we were pregnant before we got married and decided to postpone the wedding. We waited until I was around 9 weeks pregnant until we started telling the closest friends and family. My mother-in-law was very upset at the time, and after saying my baby would burn in hell because we were not married, I ignored her for the first couple of months. We ended up filming a video of us announcing the gender and just sent it to everyone via texts, WhatsApp, and email. Mother-in-law was furious that she wasn't the one who planned our gender reveal and had a huge meltdown. After finding out it was a boy, the first thing she asked was if we were going to have him circumcised by the church's doctor. My husband and I had a long discussion about this and decided that if it is not medically necessary, we would leave him intact so that he can make his own choices about his body and religion when he is old enough to understand everything. Mother-in-law said she would not acknowledge my child as her grandchild and did not want anything to do with him. This was the last I heard of her until my baby was born. I went into preterm labor at 33 weeks and the baby boy was born at 34 weeks via duct emergency C-section after all efforts of natural birth failed. We announced his birth on the family group chat and mother-in-law had yet another meltdown about not being told I was in labor and that the baby had been born. We announced his name and she cried even worse when she heard we did not pick a family name. She showed up unannounced when we got home from the hospital and my husband told her to leave. She has been harassing us non-stop and we eventually let her meet him. I exclusively breastfeed and she hates not being able to feed him and having to give him back to me when he's hungry. When she came to visit again, I let her hold him while I was quickly cleaning up the kitchen, and when I got back into the room, there she was feeding him a bottle of formula that she snuck in without my knowledge. I immediately took my son and called our estate security to escort her from the premises. My husband is supporting me all the way and has cut all ties with his mom. His brother has been giving us hell and trying to convince us to fix the relationship because mother-in-law can't cope with life anymore. He has repeatedly told me I'm an and countless other names and says I should have just done what mother-in-law wanted so everyone could be happy. So I talked to my husband to give her another chance. Mother-in-law invited me to spend the day shopping with her. We sat at a coffee shop and barely ordered our drinks when she asked me who my baby's godparents were and where would he be going if something were to happen to us. At first, I thought she was just concerned and maybe a little nosy. I politely told her that we have not made a final decision yet because there are a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration before we can make a final decision. Before I could finish my sentence, she ambushed me with the topic of adopting my baby so that there would be fewer problems and procedures the day that something happened to us. I was basically too stunned to speak and sat there in silence for a while with my mind racing. Why is she so concerned? My husband and I are both perfectly healthy and stable financially and physically, so the chances of something happening to both of us are very slim. I thought by changing the topic she would eventually forget about it, but the next thing I knew she burst into tears in the middle of the coffee shop asking why she wasn't good enough to look after my baby and what she had done so wrong that we hadn't even asked her if she'd take care of him if something were to happen. I just told her it wasn't any of her business, paid the bill without even drinking my coffee, and left. I came home to my husband being upset because mother-in-law has been blowing up his phone and has been saying I denied her any rights to see my baby in the future, and that she tried to reconcile with me but I'm just too much of a monster. I left my husband at home while I went grocery shopping so we both could cool down, and when I got home I told him what happened. He didn't really say much after I told him, but he's been ignoring mother-in-law and now she wants to come have a family meeting at our house tonight. My husband doesn't think it's a good idea, but I on the other hand would love to put her in her place and let her know exactly where she stands when it comes to my baby. Update: my husband sent mother-in-law a short text in which he said that no family meeting would be held. She called him about 2 minutes after the text and we blocked both her and father-in-law as well as brother-in-law on everything so that no one could contact us. We decided to consult with a lawyer to find out exactly what our rights are and what the right way would be to handle things legally. Mother-in-law did threaten that she would take us to family court for visitation, but luckily grandparental rights aren't a thing here if the party that is suing for visitation does not already have a safe established relationship with the child in question.